Quarantine, day 11, Thursday, March 26th. It's nap time. It's not going well.
He really wants that door open.
Not gonna happen.
Because if the door's open,
No
he
nap time.
wanders around the house.
Elijah napped 198 minutes today. Maddie napped 187 minutes today. And Mrs. Butler napped twice as much as both of them combined. How many minutes did they nap all together? What up, my quarantine people? Back at it again. Let's get right to it because it's nap time and I have got to get this done before those kids wake up. So as always, if you followed us on Quarantine Math or on Instructor Beats, you know we love our sides check strategy. And for this question, our statement's going to say hopefully my handwriting's me better. They napped blank minutes all together, right? They napped blank minutes all together, which means if we're using this as our guiding light, right? If we're using this as the thing that is going to drag us through this question until we find the answer, we need to start by looking for anything about minutes, right? And anything that's talking about they, right? So somebody was napping for minutes, and we're going to be doing something with that, right? So we need to go through and identify the key information from this question that has anything to do with minutes, right? And so we know that Elijah told us that Elijah napped 198 minutes, right? So we got to mark that down. It also told us that Maddie napped some, right? 187 minutes. That's about minutes. We're not circling it because it's numbers. We're circling it because it's about minutes, right? And then Mrs. B, or MB, if you will, napped twice as much as both of them combined, right? So twice as much means two times as much. So two times as much as both of them combined, that means Elijah plus Maddie, okay? And then at the end, we should have identified the word all together because we're going to be not looking for Mrs. B, not looking for Maddie and Elijah, but looking at everybody together. We want to add all those minutes up. This part right here about Mrs. B doing twice as much as Elijah and Maddie tells me I'm going to be doing a multiplicative tape diagram. Now I might have another tape diagram too, but I need a multiplicative tape diagram here. And I see that it was 2 times more than Elijah and Maddie together. So the first thing we want to do, our first tape diagram is going to be a part whole model, right? And it's going to be Elijah and Maddie. So kind of do it like this because I know I'm going to be drawing something underneath of it. And I know that Maddie, and that's actually pretty similar. 198 is about 200. 187 is pretty close to 200. So it's not quite even. Elijah did have a little bit more. So I'll be maybe over here. And so this was 198. That was Elijah, right? And then Maddie was over here, 187. And again, the reason I knew I was putting them together is because it said Elijah and Maddie, or it actually said both of them combined, right? And then I know that Mrs. B, okay, had twice as much as both of them combined. That means she had what they had, but then another group of it because she had 2 times more than that. And then at the end of this, my question mark isn't for Mrs. B. My question mark is for Elijah and Maddie, right? So I need to have this right here, and that's going to be a question mark. So the first thing I need to do is figure out, okay, well, how much is Elijah and Maddie together? So I'm going to do 198 plus 187. All right, that's going to be 15. Regroup your 1, that's 10, 18. Regroup over here, that should be 385. So I know Elijah and Maddie had 385, which means Mrs. B had 385 twice. And then I'm looking for all together. Let me erase this. Okay, so now there's actually 2 different ways to do this. I could do 2 times 385 to figure out how much Mrs. B was, to figure out this whole tape diagram, and then add it to this 385. Or, because I drew this visually, I see really I have 3 groups of the same thing, right? Because Elijah and Maddie combined is the same as this group, which is the same as this group. So I could do 385 times 2 and then add another 385, Or I could say that I have 3 groups of 385 is going to equal my altogether, right? So either way, if I draw this visual model, I can clearly see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be multiplying 385 times 3. And I have 15. And I'm going to do 24 plus 1 is 25. Regroup your 2. 9 plus 2 is 11. And so my total altogether is they nap for 1,155 minutes altogether. This was probably a few more steps than what we have been doing, but if you know how to do your tape diagrams, if you're getting used to drawing these out visually and getting used to doing a part whole model, doing a multiplicative comparison model, it's really, really going to help you, because then what you can see, our next step for this would to be able to write the algebra equation. So what you're doing right here, right, you would be doing 198 plus 187, okay? And then you'd have 3 groups of that, and you would say that that equaled x, okay? And so getting used to drawing visual models is going to help you make that transition to middle school math quite a bit easier and more understanding on your part for what you're actually doing, right? So after you finish this, after you wake up from a nap, because you don't know if you're picking your nose during your nap or, you know, I don't know, whatever else people do during their naps, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. If you're feeling sick, stay inside. And as always, stay safe, do math. I'm out.